Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Suway.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Ano lay waxal?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
Thanks for joining us here on Coffee Time. Today, Monday, the 25th of August, 2025. And on this day, in 2005 at Manjai Kunda, where West Coast Radio started operations in 1997, a simple signing ceremony took place which transferred ownership of the business to me and Manjo Media Limited. So today marks 20 years since I took over a West Coast Radio that once only played music to entertain Western tourists holidaying in our beautiful country. And as I announce this to you now, I'm also very happy to say that the lifelong friend who signed as my witness on that day, Mr. Muhammadu Lamin Marong, known to most Gambians as Kuku Marong, is here this morning with me. Also, today marks another anniversary, 2 years since we moved from renting into these premises, purpose-built for the business. So 2 years also in our new premises. And yes, Larry Cisse was the first man we interviewed in this studio, where my guest now is Larry's boss, as far as the UDP is concerned, the Secretary General and leader of the United Democratic Party, Alhaji Lawyer Usainu Dabo, who is with us for the next 1 hour at least. It may be longer. Our conversations usually last long. Honorable Dabo, welcome back to Coffee Time with Peter Gomez.
Thank you very much, Peter, for hosting me again in this studio. And let me start by congratulating you.
Thank you very much.
For the remarkable service that you are doing to the country. 20 years is just not 20 days. It's not 20 weeks.
Thank you.
You've been doing it with great deal of professionalism, and we want to congratulate, and also to congratulate you for having the foresight of owning your own premises, wherein you carry out this very wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
But somebody has chosen to insult us. I say us because we come from St. Augustine's High School. I'm sure when I read the message, you will know immediately who this person can only be. Congratulations, he says. It's a good start, West Coast Radio, on this your day. Single-minded determination, hard work, talent, and good leadership have transformed a run-of-the-mill radio station into a national standard. Bravo. Keep up the great job, Peter. I guess that is what being an honorary GHSer is all about. Somebody from GHS? That's not us.
Well, that's certainly not us,
Yeah.
but then the descriptions really fits us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really fits us. Yes.
This is from Lamin Mane.
I know.
I want you to expel him from the party.
Well, we'll take him for disciplinary action.
I'm shocked to see you in blue. I thought, Hamad Ba walked through the door. I was expecting Lawyer Dabo in yellow.
Well, Hamad Ba is my brother.
Is he?
Oh, yes.
Ah.
It's funny. In the cabinet, Ahmad Ba is the only person that relates with me personally and officially. He has not really forgotten the difficult days when we were together fighting Gambia. He has really not forgotten that day. I mean, those periods. So once in a while, if I put on the blue, it reminds me of my younger Smaraka. It reminds me of him, you know.
Well, somehow I'm in blue.
In blue, yes,
Yeah.
you know.
And a bit of yellow.
And I'm not sure whether today, 25th August, whether it signifies anything to NRP.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I hope it does.
I hope so.
Well, listen, I hope you have all $111,000 with you here, because we want our share of the money.
Well, I think I'll talk to Amadisani, because the folks back in Seattle believe that they should send that money directly to the treasurer. He's the person who takes responsibility for finances. I probably they believe that if I put it in my pocket, I may also go by the back way, you know.
That's a good one. You know, tell us about that fundraiser.
Well, you know, it's traditional for UDP to organize conventions in the diaspora, but this particular one was for the entire diaspora. And it was not only meant for drumming up support, but also for raising funds. You know, we are approaching the 2026 presidential elections, and in fact, the 2026-2027 election cycles, we are fast approaching. And politics means money, particularly in the Gambia. Politics has become so monetized that if you do not have sufficient funding, your campaign could really be, abruptly halt. And we are guarding against that, and that is why I went out to Seattle at the invitation of the Diaspora executive to help in raising funds. And I believe my presence also encouraged folks there to put in their dollars, to put in their cents, the honest earning, their honest earnings. I do not blame any political party for securing funding from any source, but we are not securing our funding from sources that will make us obligated to them to do what we should not be doing. Yes.
Okay. And what did you organize gala dinners? Did you organize concerts with popular musicians from the Gambia?
No, unfortunately, no, there were no musicians there. Although there was one lady griot, you know. In fact, from my own griot, from my own griot family.
Okay.
She was there, but she didn't perform much. It was just a usual dinner, and then people started making pledges. And, you know, a young lady, I won't mention the name, but her father was my bosom friend. You know, she donated $10,000.
You should tell me her name.
I don't want to embarrass her.
No, you should tell me her name after the program.
After the program.
So that I send her a begging letter.
Yes. And and another gentleman, I don't think I'll embarrass him, you know, if I say his name, also donated $7,500.
Wow.
Numukunda Dabo, he's my brother, the last of our siblings. He donated $7,500. Another gentleman who also don't want to embarrass with his wife donated $6,000. These are coming from ordinary folks who are concerned about the situation in the Gambia and who are determined to ensure that the status quo changes for the good of the Gambian people.
Okay.
None of these people look forward to getting any employment. In fact, my brother is an expert in X-rays. You know, I mean, he is an expert. Radiology. He's a good radiologist. You know, and he doesn't need any employment. In fact, in the States, he gets contracts. Yeah? And the lady has her flourishing business. So these are people who do not need anything from a UDP government. What they need from a UDP government is good governance, to make sure that the resources of the Gambian people are protected and are utilized for the benefit of the Gambian people. That is their only interest.
Fantastic. Well, listen, the amount made headlines across, all media formats. $111,000 US dollars, probably unprecedented to be raised at one event. But is that enough to fund a presidential campaign?
Certainly not. It's certainly not. As I said, politics in this country has become so monetized that you have to be in good funds for you to run a respectable.
Well, it certainly can fund the $1 million deposit.
Absolutely.
So what do you need the rest of the money for?
Well, we need the rest of the money for campaigns. And I said, this is you have the 2026, 2027 election cycles. Mm-hmm. So it's just not to fund the presidential elections, but also National Assembly, councilorship election, mayoral elections. So, and that is why I said, it's just not sufficient. But hopefully, I should be traveling to Europe, to the Nordic countries, to continental Europe, and of course to United Kingdom, to raise funds, and hopefully there will be some very decent amount. You see, what I like about UDP, our UDP folks, they're very competitive.
Are they?
They are very competitive.
Okay. So Europe will be trying to outdo to outdo the United States.
They'll try to outdo the United States. Even before my proposed trip to Europe, there were fundraising events organized in Holland, in Belgium. I think the first place was Belgium. Okay. And when they announced what they had raised, Holland said, we are going to beat them to it. And that is what they did. And of course, the European Convention will be held in Vienna on the 4th of October. That's where we expect all European chapters, UDP, to attend. And the funds that will be raised that night, plus what has already been raised, when you package them, it's going to be something that will attract some people's eyes. And we are forging and we encouraging even non-UDP members who are not, in fact, UDP members who are interested in the salvation of this country to come forward and assist the opposition parties, including the UDP, so that this country, 2026, will be salvaged. Mm-hmm. Because if we get this country salvaged in 2026, I think we can expect to have a very good, altruistic, and forward-looking National Assembly that will work with the executive to deliver to the Gambian people.
Do you think, there might have been Gambians, non-UDP members who contributed to this $111,000 simply for the reasons you just stated, the need for change?
Of course. Yeah, I know that there are. At least they have not shown themselves to be UDP, but certainly they have shown themselves to be true Gambians, and I reached out to them to express my gratitude and to express the Gambian people's gratitude to them for their contribution. Yes.
You spoke about the situation of the country, which is why you think we need change. We'll come to that later on, and of course, the ongoing, application process for flag bearer, standard bearer position for the UDP vis-a-vis 2026. But last week I hosted your immediate predecessor as vice president. And obviously the issue of 3 years Jotna came up, and the question was, how did we get there? And of course, your name came up. Do you need to clarify anything in respect?
Peter, this is an issue that I find difficult to talk about. I find it embarrassing. But I think it is better, however embarrassing it is to me, it is better to set the record straight.
Absolutely.
the narratives, proper narratives should be given. You see, I think she was right when she said, my husband, and that is right. She was my loyal wife until recently. She added the surname Tambajang to Jallo because of me. In our tradition, I took the kola nut to the parents to get her married to my bosom friend, Mohamed H. Tambajang, but we all of us in Banza, we all call him Mama Kali. That's what everybody calls him, Mama Kali Tambajang. His first son, Usainu Tinkame, is not Carolina, it's named after me, was born in 1973. So that shows the extent of the love and bond between me and Mrs. Tambajang's husband. You know, what she talked about the building the coalition, I don't want to get into that. But the matter that really embarrasses me, and which I'm concerned about, is her allegation that the constitution was changed to suit me. Peter, in that very interview, she did say that Honorable Halifa Saleh suggested that the age limit, the constitution should be amended so that the age limit is taken care of, the term limit is taken care of, and the 50+1. And that was the coalition agenda. That was a coalition promise. How on earth can she really say that that amendment was done to favor me? If it was done to favor me, I could have loved President Barrow to appoint me, but she was the first beneficiary of that amendment.
But she insisted Barrow always wanted you to be vice president first.
But look, what would stop Barrow from appointing me if he was insisting?
Did Barrow ever offer you the vice president?
I have said that. He did. And I said, Mr. President, I'm sorry, I cannot take the position because I'm disqualified. He said, but how? Because the constitutional provisions that disqualifies me from contesting as a presidential candidate is the same provision that disqualifies me from being appointed as president.
But subsequently, the constitution was changed.
That's what I'm saying. When the constitution was changed, if it was for me, I would have been the one to be appointed. If it was made for me. But she was the beneficiary.
So when it was changed, you were already foreign minister?
I was foreign minister. So she is the first beneficiary of that amendment. And today, there are beneficiaries. At least, current vice president is a beneficiary. So to say that that was for me is most, deceitful. But you know, Peter, her ascendancy to the office of vice president, I had stood by her. I knew that she really wanted that position, that job. I knew that. And because of my relationship with her deceased husband, I stood by her. That this is my wife, I'm going to support her. People were ganging up against her.
Oh.
People had gone to the GRA to pull out her TIN number. And that TIN number showed 1949. People had ganged up against her.
Okay, to establish the fact that she was over the age.
She was over the age.
She couldn't be vice president.
She couldn't be vice president. But I told her that, look, we'll have to do, we'll have to work, and you'll be vice president.
Yeah, she explained that 1949 as against the 1953, which is her official.
Yes. But the 1949 is on the passport. It's not on that was the passport that carried on. But then, if that was done, really, years before she got into politics, why would the TIN number also carry the same? think the TIN number should reflect, is it 53 or 54, whatever year?
53.
53. It should have reflected that. No? But okay. Now, one of the things that they tried to do at her behest was to propose an amendment to the Constitution without going through the constitutional procedures. You cannot amend it. You cannot just take a bill to the National Assembly to amend the Constitution without the necessary publications. And when I learned of it, I rose to the President. I said, Mr. President, we are going to be embarrassed. And I don't think even the Attorney General was consulted, because if the Attorney General was consulted, he would not allow a bill to amend the Constitution of the Gambia to go to the National Assembly without it being published as required by the Constitution. I thought the Attorney General would not allow that. And I wrote to the President, Mr. President, we are going to be embarrassed. This bill that they're presenting must be withdrawn. Otherwise, you will have the greatest embarrassment. And I explained it. I said, but why? How could that happen? And he called Fadera, the Secretary General, and said, but SG, how could you do this? Why did you allow this to happen? And Fadera said, well, I thought we could do this and then later publish. I said, no. You publish before the presentation in the National Assembly. President Adama, and hopefully he's listening to this. And she was the one who was rushing to the National Assembly to table that bill, which should have in fact been done by the Attorney General. And knowing that she really wants the job, I told the President, what we will do is her appointments as Minister for Women's Affairs, she could be sworn in, but then make her also oversee the office of the Vice Presidency. And that was once he moved into the office of the Vice President physically. Yeah. And when she was to be sworn in as Vice President, I was in the United States. And I appealed to His Excellency President Adama Barrow to ask him if he could really reschedule, because I want to be there, to be present as her swearing in. Because me being present at her swearing in as Vice President of the Gambia, for me it was Mama Kali, her husband, who was to be there to attend her swearing. And I also told her that I'm asking the President to reschedule your swearing so that I could be there. And when I came a day after, I told them I was
not. She had no problem with rescheduling?
She had no problem.
Okay.
But to show how much closer we were. Yeah. And when people were trying to block her appointment, I was with her to make sure that she got the appointment. In fact, at one point, I got frustrated. I told President, look, appoint her. And if anybody feels that her appointment is not in consonance with the Constitution, you can challenge it. He said, well, Mr. Dabo, let us just go through the parliamentary process that we are doing now, because we don't want to start going to court too early in the life of this government, which I think makes a lot of sense. Sure. For me, sometimes when I'm in a fighting mood, and I know the obstacles that people want to place before me, I fight back. And I was in that fighting mood. And he said, look, let us go through the parliamentary processes, okay. Which was done. And Peter, let me just. So I stood by her for her to be appointed as Vice President. And we were working together closely. People will have problems with her, and they will call to me, tell your wife this, tell your wife that. In fact, there was an issue with Bailamin, and Bailamin came to me and said, please, Wahala Sajabar, because he was trying to double, in the affairs of the ministry, in matters related to the Gambia Ports Authority. And I talked to her. She wanted to be a prefect of all the ministers. And of course, you can see that, look, my portfolio, what do you have to do with my portfolio?
Is that not a role the Vice President performs?
No, that's not a role the Vice President performs.
As overseer of the ministers?
No. I mean, it's the president. You report to the president.
Okay.
You report to the president. You know, it's the president that has to look into and put in line. You know, but what I found embarrassing is her narration of the events leading to her being relieved. Just before I leave this appointment, you know, those people who are ganging up against her had told the president, look, this woman was dismissed by Gambia when she was Minister of Health. So that's a reason why she cannot be appointed as Vice President. You know, because that's a public office. And I told the president, no, Mr. President, I think these are misleading statements. If she cannot be appointed as Vice President because of her dismissal, the reason that she cannot hold a public office, Minister of Women's Affairs, it's a public office. Why are they not saying that she cannot be appointed?
Who was Minister of Women's Affairs at the time?
At the time, she was Minister of Women's Affairs.
All right.
You know, because when she became Vice President, she became Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs. How can she be appointed legitimately as Minister for Women's Affairs and not be caught up by the dismissal of by Yahya Jammeh? So it's all a ruse. It's all an attempt to stop her appointment as Vice President. And I said, Mr. President, you know, if you were to relieve my position as Minister of Foreign Affairs, can I sue you to court for unlawful dismissal? Because no, you cannot. So the category of people that provision applies to are people in the civil service, in the public service, not ministers who have been relieved of their positions. So Madam Tambajang is not caught by that provision in the Constitution. She was not a public officer in the context of that Constitution, because no minister who is relieved of his position can take the government of the Gambia to court for unlawful dismissal. And we continued working together, in the most harmonious way. Our relationships have never been so harmonious, not even at the time when we are young people, going to Tropical, attending the Saturday night events at Tropical, on Cameroon Street, And what she narrated about her removal, I cannot really, I do not have words to describe, her approach on that issue. But only to say that it's misleading. And I'm using the word misleading very reluctantly. Because
So what's the truth about her removal?
The truth about her removal is her own action. And when I first had hint of this, I went to her office and asked her that these are the rumors on the corridors.
What were the rumors then?
The rumors were that she had sent a letter to the United Nations and passed herself off as the acting president of the Gambia. She said, this is not true. People are just making stories about me, trying to discredit me. I've never done that. And well, I took her word. Because I didn't believe that she could really, she could deceive people, but I didn't ask me. I don't think she could deceive me. Yeah? Well, that year, the Ramadan, we were in China. Myself, Amadou, Bailamin, and I think Fafasanyang, the Korite, found us in flight, coming to return home. And I suggested to my colleagues that, look, when we go back home, we should go and see the president. The usual Korite prayers, of our usual Korite prayers ourselves, since we are not there on Korite Day. And that is what that is what we did. And when I finished with the presidency, I went to her office. I found some people in the waiting room, and I said, please, you'll permit me, let me go and see VP some urgent matters. And I think Amadou Sane was probably in the waiting room. When I got in, when they wanted to start the usual pleasantries, I said no. And I looked into her eyes straight and said, Fatimata, why did you deceive me?
Oh.
I said, Fatimata, why did you deceive me? He said, but what? And as I was telling, I was standing. Then I took my seat and said, Fatimata, you told me that letter you sent to the UN you never signed as acting president. Whilst I was in China, my protocol, Mr. Jobate, a copy of the letter was sent to her by WhatsApp. And she showed it to me. And look, I nearly jumped out of my skin when I saw that letter. So why did you have to tell me? You know our relationship. You know that you were present, your mother on her deathbed said, Useno, nga Fatmata Karafema. It means that Useno, mang la denka Fatmata. For me, not for you not owning up to me and tell me the truth, was really deceitful. We could have worked together through this without you facing any embarrassment. Just as I worked with you for you to ascend the office of the vice presidency, you could have done that. And as I well say, Jara, it was Jara who did this, I brought to me, and I didn't even look at it. I said, but how can you sign a letter of such importance without going through every line? Probably even if she had signed for president, would have been better.
She explained that she put P.O.
No.
Par on.
No. AG, acting president, acting president.
So the copy you were sent had no P.O.?
No, there's no P.O. It's acting president. Look, why would I say anything against that? That is not true. She signed acting president. I am sure, otherwise, if president knows is President Adama Barrow knows the difference between for and acting.
Okay.
President Adama Barrow couldn't have taken an issue with her if she had only signed as for the president.
Okay, so you went to speak to her after seeing the president, to extend courtesies with him.
Yeah.
Was this raised during, the meeting with President Barrow, warranting you going over to the vice president?
No.
Okay. So you had come from China with this anger in you that you had to confront her.
Because the protocol officer, my protocol, Jobate, Pui Jobate, had a copy of the letter was sent to him. So he showed me. He showed me. So I didn't have I had no reason to raise up with the president because if the president had any grouse, I think it was genuine. So for me, for her to come here and present a narrative that demonizes me is unacceptable. But you see, Peter, in fact, even the last the Samsudin Sar's piece, part of which was read, I find it interesting that Hussein Dabo said he would sue anybody. It's a false. I said, I have never seen a signed agreement. But if there is any such agreement, let me produce and we can test its constitutionality. Because if the Constitution stipulates a period and you say something different from that, which goes against public policy, I think that, for me, it can be challenged.
This is about the controversy over the original term.
The original term.
Barrow was meant to serve, according
right.
to the coalition.
Yes. And I never said if anybody forces him to resign. I said, let us see the agreement and test its constitutionality. And I still maintain that position. I have been expounding and trying to advance the jurisprudence of this country. And I don't turn back because Mr. A or Mr. B feels that a particular position I took or I take on legal issues do not rhyme well with his or her own thinking. I don't care about that. What I care about is how do we advance the jurisprudence of this country. I was the first to really test the Constitution of the Gambia, this 1997 Constitution, in the courts.
How?
Why? By taking CFO Keba Fantakoma and the CFO of Upper Florida West, to court, as well Jajusi and Taboramane. These were 4 chiefs we had selected to take them to court to test the constitutionality of their continuing acting as CFOs in this country. So one case was dealt with, and that's Keba Fantakoma. And we found that his appointment or his continued occupation of, the office of CFO was unconstitutional. The other cases, we adjourned for the next session of the Supreme Court, for the upcoming session of the Supreme Court. But before then, Yajam and his people went to the National Assembly and removed those provisions from the Constitution, repealed them. So those cases became academic issues. What this was involved in, we are just merely academic issues. So I have done that, and we've taken the IEC to court, we've taken the government to court, KMS and Jammeh case, UDP and NRP. We advance the jurisprudence of this country, and will continue to do so for the benefit of present-day generation Gambians and for future generations. So, Peter, UDP has been chosen as a punching bag by people who are engaged in self-glorification and who really want to make themselves relevant. And me in particular, I've been taken to be the demon of that organization called UDP. So any Tom, Dick, and Harry, they come, we punch them, but we are so resilient. And whenever we have the opportunity of falsifying their allegations against us, we do so. And all those people who make these allegations, bring them face to face with me. And we'll show that their vilifications of United Democratic Party and me, it's really been done for some other motives, not because there's anything truthful in it. But Peter, it's very difficult for me to really deal with this Fatmata Tambajang issue. I feel embarrassed, but I have no choice but really to come and put the proper narratives before the Gambian people, what actually happened. There are a lot that I have left behind because I do not want to cause further embarrassment to her. I'm sure while she's sitting in her house, she's hurting. And I do not want to add more to that. There have been several inaccuracies or inaccuracies about the OIC, about other things, but I do not think I want to reduce myself to the level of addressing those issues, except to say that that letter never went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for transmission to the UN.
Oh, where did it go?
Never. I don't know. I don't know how they got it. I don't know how they got it to New York. I don't know how they got it to New York.
Was it ever sent back to you from New York?
It was never sent to me. It was never sent to me from New York. In fact, I understand it was sent from New York to the president directly to show her that this is what is happening. I had absolutely no hand in her removal from office. She paved the way for her removal from office and trying to show herself to be what she is not. So,
and when you knew the president, was intending to let her go, did you try based on the relationship?
I have never known that the president intended to remove her. I've never known that. If I knew, I would definitely prevail on the president, I will definitely ask him not to.
Okay.
Look, when my fatty was removed from, before his letter of relievement was delivered to him, I went to the president in the company of Mrs. Tambajang to plead with him that he should not remove him, that the coalition government was at an early, it was in its infancy. We should allow it to grow. No member of the coalition should be removed from the cabinet. I appealed with the president on it, but now he had taken his decision, and we couldn't do anything.